Hello, friends. Robert Bevan here, author of the Caverns and Creatures series of comedy, fantasy novels, and short stories. With me is Sam West, and today we're going to be talking about the spell Scorching Ray. Oh, all right. This is a level 2 damage spell.
Yep. All right, guys, that was Scorching Ray. Thanks for chatting. Scorching Ray is nifty, but it is really just a damage spell. This is 3 attack rolls for 2d6 damage each, which, to be fair, is a fairly unique gimmick. There aren't a lot of spells in this game that give you a bunch of different attacks. So there is some neat utility in how the spell works.
All right, and I'm right in thinking the rays can shoot at different targets or the same?
I believe so, yes.
Yes, okay.
A lot of flexibility in that make it, I think, quite a bit better than a lot of the comparative options you get.
Well, I guess the biggest comparison is Magic Missile.
Yeah.
Because Scorching Ray has a respectable range, 120 feet. I forget what Magic Missiles is. I think it might be a bit farther, but still, both spells you can cast and not be too worried about having somebody run up and beat on you in the next turn.
They're both 120-foot ranges. They both are definitely spells you cast when you want to be the safe caster or you want some level of consistency. The damage difference between 2d6 and a d4 plus 1 is pretty large. It's between like 7 and 3.5. So that's big differences. So you're doing substantially more damage with Scorching than doing with Magic Missile, even at upcast. You do have to come with the downside of you can miss, which I'm never a fan of. But because you get 3 attack rolls, as long as you're getting like 2/3 of them to hit, you're really happy with it. I guess you're not really happy with it. You're just a little more happy with it than if you would cast Magic Missile. If you get all 3 to hit, you're very happy. So the kind of cases where the spell is at its best is you hit all 3 of them, then you're like, that was worth it probably. If you hit 2 of them, it's like, okay, that was about as good as Magic Missile. And if you hit 1 or less, you're like, that was horrendous. I wasted a spell slot. Boo.
See, then I would think it'd be even more comparable to Magic Missile. 2/3 hitting is I think
pretty realistic,
reasonable odds.
Yeah.
And I like Magic Missile's guaranteed hit. And all right, when you upcast Magic Missile, the damage doesn't scale up. You just get more missiles, right?
Yes, more d4s.
That's even more flexibility.
Well, I mean, this also has the upside where it also gives you more rays. I love the idea of casting this as like a 9th level
talking
caster.
about Magic Missile cast up to reach the Scorching Ray level. Yeah.
You're basically comparing if 2 of these hit, you're comparing it kind of to a 44 plus 4 and 46, which is moderately similar, right? Because a d4 plus 1 is about the same as a d6 as far as like average damages go. You always will have a lower ceiling or lower floor and lower ceiling on the d4. So like you can high roll 4 6s and do 18 damage where you're always capped at 12. You're always capped at 44, 4, 4, 4, 12, or oh my god, math, 16. Yeah, 16 damage. But like at the end of the day, you're pretty consistent. Yeah, it's 18 versus 16, I think.
What is it? 44 plus 4 though.
Yeah, it's 20 versus 18.
20, right. Okay.
So you're on average, you're higher, your maximum damage on Magic Missile is slightly higher. Your average damage is around the same. It's 18 versus 20 damage for Scorching Ray, or Scorching Ray 2 Magic Missile. It's functionally the same. If you get the extra d6 in, you're higher than that. If you get extra
the floor of a Magic Missile would be considerably higher, right?
Yes, it's 2 each. So you're doing 8 damage across the board, yes. Or you're doing 10. God, numbers are hard.
Wait. No, 4.
8. 4 instances of 2. Yes.
Yes. Okay.
This episode formally is named Bob and Sam Struggle with Basic Arithmetic. Yeah, so again, that's why like 2/3 of the Scorching Rays are comparable. If you get all 3 of them, you're above damage. If you get less than that, you're below damage. You're never risking it with Magic Missile. So if you are the kind of player that likes the consistency, 4 Magic Missiles is always good. If Bob, you said you're the gambler, right? You like to high roll, right?
Yeah, but typically, I mean, if it's for something amazing, sure. But for this, I don't know. I don't. Even I don't think the gamble's worth it.
So
but,
I actually.
What is the ceiling for Scorching Ray? All 3 hits.
All 3 crit is the ceiling.
Oh, right, because crits are an option.
And which makes this actually a pretty interesting spell in that it scales well. Like casters don't have a lot of things that scale well with giving you advantage on attack rolls, but this one really does. This is the kind of spell that if you get advantage on attack rolls and you make 5 attacks with this thing using a 5th or 4th level spell, you're going to crit a good chunk of the time then. You're trying to turn crits on a lot more often, which is interesting. And it's a real power boost to the spell, I think. On top of that, right, this has weird build implications where you can actually try out some hex builds or other off-the-wall kind of strategies where you're hexing as a preemptive measure and firing off other spells. Like you get hex through either multi-classing Warlock or as the Arcane Initiate feat. And then Scorching Ray is doing 3d6 damage a pop as opposed to 2d6 damage a pop, which is nifty. You can use this as a pretty cool build around me spell, while it is also just baseline fine. We're comparing it to Magic Missile, right? And Magic Missile is undeniably an absurd first level spell. So we're in pretty good territory as far as gauging the spell's power. And it really only kind of goes up from there in my mind. Yes, you can have moments where it does nothing, and I hate that. But a lot of the time, I like to make spells that build into cool, wacky, neat things. And this is a spell that can do that.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to make my judgment. If I'm in a situation where I will be getting advantage on my attacks, I'll choose Scorching Ray. Otherwise, I'm going to stick with Magic Missile.
That's probably wise.
I'm going to have them both in my arsenal specifically for those reasons.
I do think you would consider, if you were going to upcast either as a third level spell, which you probably shouldn't be. You probably should be casting Fireball if you're trying to do damage at that point. But if you were going to upcast at the third level versus upcasting Magic Missile at third level, I do think this upcast is better. 2d6 as an upcast opportunity versus 1d4 plus 1, marginally better. Opportunity crit, I think, is good. The ability to do higher quantities of damage to individual targets too. So doing, like, if you're trying to deal with 4 things, 4 instances of 2d6 plus, or 2d6 is going to be often better than 4 instances of 44 plus, or 1d4 plus 1, right? But it is kind of moot there. The difference between hitting something for 5 and hitting something for up to 12, that's obviously very different as far as numbers go, but you're kind of pulling similar numbers together. It's all around complicated and messy, but I think you definitely can pick favorites. You can say, all right, I can't miss with Magic Missile. I can never screw that up. That's easy the boat you'd rather be in here. And for the once, I'm in the boat where I'm like, I think this might be worth the risk sometimes.
Huh. The tables have turned.
Yeah. And it definitely come down to preference. They're both about as good as each other.
Yeah.
Magic Missile is probably better still, but it's close.
Let's see. We got anything else to say about this one? I don't think so.
Yep, it's a pretty cut and dry, pretty standard above board spell. This is a 4 out of 4 or a 3 out of 5, somewhere in that range. I'll call it a 4 because it's good. It's not as good as Magic Missile, but it doesn't need to be.
Yeah, I'll call Magic Missile when we get to Magic Missile.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that was Scorching Ray, everyone. Thank you, Sam, and thank you, listeners and watchers, for listening and watching. We will see you next time. Bye-bye. Thank you for watching. If you found this helpful, informative, or entertaining, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button below. You needn't smash it. A gentle tap will suffice. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to the channel. And make sure you check out the links in the description where you'll find my Caverns Creatures series of comedy fantasy novels, our full review of the spell, and other fun things.